What did a nurse do or say that made you immediately request another nurse? My dad was dying of cancer. The doctors gave him 6 months, but he was determined to see my graduation in 8. I'd spend every evening at the hospital, studying beside his bed while he slept. We had a routine. I'd arrive with his favorite chocolate milk, and we'd watch game shows until he dozed off. This night was different. Dad was in visible pain. His breathing labored. I pressed the call button 3 times before a nurse finally appeared. He needs more pain medication, I said. His chart says he's due for... She cut me off with a wave. Your father is fine. Pain is part of the process. I pointed to his grimacing face. Does that look fine to you? Dad had always been the tough one in our family. This was a man who once finished building our back deck with a nail in his foot because he didn't want to waste a good Saturday. So when tears started streaming down his face, I knew something was seriously wrong. The night shift had just started, and this nurse was new to us. Our regular nurse, Heather, always treated Dad with dignity. This nurse was different. She barely looked at him, checking her watch every few seconds like we were an inconvenience. The name tag said Diane, but she never introduced herself. I've been watching his chart, I explained, trying to stay calm. He gets breakthrough pain around this time every night. Heather always... I'm not Heather, she snapped, tapping something into the computer. And I don't give medication just because someone's uncomfortable. That's how addiction starts. Dad squeezed my hand weakly. His forehead was damp with sweat, his hospital gown soaked through. The small dignity he had left was slipping away with every moment she delayed. It's stage 4 pancreatic cancer, I said, my voice breaking. He's not going to become an addict. He's just trying to make it to May. She looked up from the computer, her face completely blank. May? That's unrealistic. We need to be practical about these situations. My father had been a high school math teacher for 30 years. When I was little and struggling with homework, he'd always say, walk me through your thinking. It was his way of helping us solve problems together. Now, in what might be his final months, this nurse couldn't even give him the courtesy of basic compassion. Please, I said, just check his chart. Dr. Sanderson specifically adjusted his medication yesterday because the pain is getting worse. She sighed dramatically. Listen, I have patients with actual emergencies. Your father is stable. Dad tried to speak, but could only manage a moan. I'd never felt so helpless in my life. The call button was right there, but what was the point? She'd already ignored it 3 times. I'd like to speak to the charge nurse, I said firmly. For what reason? She asked, rolling her eyes. Because my father deserves dignity, and you're failing to provide it. She leaned close to me, whispering, listen, honey, your dad's a lost cause. We need these meds for patients who have a future. My entire body went cold. I couldn't believe what I'd just heard. I'm pre-med, I told her, my voice shaking. I know he's allowed medication every 4 hours. She smirked. Playing doctor now? Why waste resources? He'll be gone by morning anyway. Dad squeezed my hand weakly. He'd heard everything. I didn't hesitate. I marched straight to the nurse's station and demanded to speak with a charge nurse. When she arrived, I repeated exactly what was said, word for word. The color drained from her face. She immediately administered Dad's medication and assured me that nurse would never enter his room again. 2 days later, the hospital administrator visited, apologizing profusely. That nurse had been fired on the spot. And my dad? He hung on for exactly 8 months and 2 days, just long enough to watch me walk across that stage in my cap and gown. I became an oncology nurse because of her. Every day, I make sure my patients know they're never just resources or lost causes.